I'm Biba Chic, introducing the John Telford Detroit Show with Dr. John Telford, coming to you live at 10 o'clock every Thursday morning on Wjzz Cool TV, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Dr. John Telford is a former Detroit Public School superintendent, a former world-class athlete and conqueror of Olympic champions, a championship track coach, poet, newspaper columnist, a longtime civil rights crusader, and the creative insubordination, the Will Robinson story, the poetic prancings of Mad John, his explosive autobiography. Those were his books. A Life on the Run and another forthcoming poetry book, Athletes, Activism, and Apple Bows, a Detroit epic. He also has a show on WCHB AM 1340, Detroit's gospel station, Saturday morning at 9:30 and Monday evenings at 6:30. His books are available at Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, or by calling 313-460-8272. That's 313-460-8272. John Telford has been called a legend and also a light rod for controversy. He has revived the Detroit City Council's Spirit of Detroit Award and the Joe Louis Foundation's Spirit of the Champ Award. He was named Wayne State University's Alumnus of the Year in 2001, and the Detroit track was named for him. His website is www.alifeontherun.com, and his email address is John Telford. Wait a minute. John, could you please stop this so I could give them your information?
I don't know how to stop it. I'm going to give it to my mechanic over here.
This is very important. His website is www.alifeontherun.com, and his email address is drjohntellford@aol.com. That's drjohntellford@aol.com. And now, without further ado, I present to you that crusading old native Detroiter, Dr. John Telford.
Thank you, Biba Chic, for that introduction. Biba Chic, that activist extraordinaire, who stood in for Dr. Sunanda Corrado today, who is in Atlanta right now, and I really appreciated your doing that for me today, Biba.
It's an honor. Thank you.
It's an honor to have you do it, and it's an honor also to have Blaine Smith in the studio today, my buddy Blaine Smith, that All-America athlete from Purdue University. He was a captain of the Purdue football team. He's played for 3 professional teams, but you know, Blaine wasn't just an athlete. Blaine is a poet, kind of like me. You know, we were both All-America athletes, but that's what our bodies were. You know, our souls are the souls of poets. So I'm going to do a little housekeeping, and then Blaine and I are going to be reading some poems about, I guess you would say, some of our experiences with the opposite sex. Some of them good experiences, some of them bad, some of them maybe a little raunchy, but that's what we're going to be doing today on WJZZ, the John Telford Detroit Show. And we have Biba Chic sitting in here with us. I hope we don't embarrass her, you know, with some of the poetry that we're going to be reciting.
I'm going to hear the first couple of poems, and then I'm going to have to listen to it outside.
Okay.
But I hope that the first ones are not.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with some of my childhood poetry, so that's not too raunchy. I don't think. But okay. Here's what I got to make a couple of announcements. A week or two ago, I attended a discussion hosted by the Community Movement Builders and the Michigan Round Table at the Mama Akua Community Center at 2431 Ferry Park. Ferry Park, that's right near where I grew up. I grew up at 6021 16th Street, so that was very close to where I grew up in Detroit. The Mama Akua Community Center at 2431 Ferry Park Street in Detroit. And it was hosted by Yusuf Bunchi Shakur, an old friend of mine, who works for the Round Table. And his Round Table colleague, Des Squire, was also there. They had brought in Black Panthers from New York and California to discuss their historic and history, because they had a tremendous history, the Black Panthers have, and their organizing methods. The rejected charter revision, that was Proposal P, must now become a manifesto for all activists to unite and move forward, because that if it hadn't been for all the lies that were told by the corporate crocodiles in this city, we could have passed Proposal P for the benefit of all of the ordinary citizens of the city of Detroit. Okay, and there now are only two candidates in the Detroit mayoral race. I might talk about that later in a bridge. So what I think, but I also want to remember to tell everybody that the Detroit Native Sun is still on the stands, and the Detroit Native Sun has a Telford telescope in there, in which I'm talking about promoting black athletes and giving them more control. And Blaine, that's something that is dear to your heart, I know. And there's also a column in there, not a column, an article called "American Democracy Endangered." So you still can get a Detroit Native Sun in the stores right now. I have those two. I have the column in that article in the Detroit Native Sun, and also the Downtown Monitor has my column about Detroit sports history and rejuvenating the Detroit Public Schools track program. That was this past week. So if you can get the Downtown Monitor, I think it's still in the stands. And I wanted to talk about naming a school for Will Robinson, but I'll talk about that another time. That was in another one of the Detroit Native Sun newspapers. So we have Blaine Smith in the studio today, and we're going to be doing some poetry, and I'm going to open up with a little poem. I don't know, this one's kind of a raunchy one, but it's not real bad. It's called My Bad Babysitter, because she actually was a bad babysitter because she did something she shouldn't have done. But I was kind of in love with her. I was about 9 years old. When I was small, just 9 years old, I loved large Lena, and she told me often that she loved me too, and reaffirmed, "Oh yes, I do." She told me I had pretty eyes, with longer lashes than most guys. Then she'd hump my hand and moan, and rub it hard on her and groan. She'd lick my little pickle bear, and once again I'd poke her where she said it made her feel good. I sensed that these were things we should perhaps not do, that they were bad, and which it might be better had we kept them from my mom and dad. I engaged Lena, teenage Lena. She took intimate liberties with me that you shouldn't be taking with a 9-year-old boy, but I never felt harmed by them, rather than experiencing a vague feeling of guilt and getting a precocious curiosity about feminine anatomy, so I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but I really never felt that she did me any harm. So, okay, then one more short little poem, and then say that again.
I'm joking.
No, I guess I was, in a certain sense. Yeah.
Child molested.
Yeah, it was child molestation, no question about it. And I don't know if it had an effect on me or not. I don't know. Maybe it did. Maybe it caused a lot of other things. But anyway, here's a very short poem called Bonnie Braids. And Bonnie Manhart was my girlfriend from kindergarten until the 6th grade. And here's a poem. The lads I wrestled in rambunctious play and gladsome sport of kindergarten day are multiple cold winters far away. The lasses laughing in a long gone May, pink petticoated pigtail girls so gay, for 80 springtimes now have ceased to say, Pom, pom, pull away, get on your horse and run away. Ever play pom pom?
For my time.
Okay, for his time. Yet I remember twin dark bonny braids, whose wearer lived within my block. This maid's unfeeling parents, when we were in grades 6B and A, one day just moved away.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Bonnie Manhart, who lived with her parents and her older sister Barbara on an upper apartment flat on the east side of Linwood Avenue between McGraw and Marquette, near West Side Detroit. She was my girl from kindergarten in 1941 to the 6th grade in whenever that came years later. Her family moved to Sandoval, Illinois in the fall of 1947, and it broke my 11-and-a-half-year-old heart.
Did you try to find her on Facebook?
I did, and I did find her. And then I lost her again. It was years later. And I'm gonna try again. She's married, got kids, the whole thing, but she was my love, that lady. I can remember she rode me on her bike, and I was riding. That was Bonnie. But anyway, Blaine, it is your turn to do a romantic poem.
Oh yeah, I'm a romantic poet. None of them are raunchy. They are a little bit interesting. And this is one of the first poems that I've ever had published by Dr. Jawan Taylor for her communications class. It's definitely about communicating. And without further ado, I'll read this one. To say or not to say, thoughts of you on my mind, the ever-increasing messages I never tell you of, no communications left behind. My general thoughts, does she, would she, will she, can we do lunch sometimes? The respect, the desire, feelings that set my romanticism on fire. To say or not to say, I desire to speak my mind. When you're close, the words are never clear. No communications left behind. To say or not to say, I shall say something the next time.
All right. That's one of my favorite poems of his. Break for commercial. You're watching Wjzz Cool TV, the John Telford Detroit show, with Biba Chic and Blaine Smith. Today you're watching live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Okay, my turn for a quick poem. This poem is called Mi Carmenita Delicata and the Two 16th Street Redheads. My Carmen, and this one is not in this poetry book, the Poetic Prancings of Mad John, but I've got a new poetry book coming out called Athletes, Activism, and Apple Boughs, a Detroit poetic epic, and this one's going to be in that book. My Carmen won't come to my house anymore, except when she enters it through the back door. My two greedy black cats, with their sharp, bloody claws and the rat's bloody gore, on their black, bloody jaws, no, on their black, bloody paws, lift 8 little rat feet, 2 well-chewed-on rat tails, and 2 wide-eyed rat heads with 2 reddish-orange trails right out there on our bloody front sidewalk. And Carmen Martinez was my classmate at Detroit Northwestern High School in 1950. Think about that, how long ago that was. My fellow Zone 8 gang member, Clyde Fergus Sanford, who was a big tough Scot who lived on Stanton and became a Detroit Police Department member of the infamous head-whipping Big Four, and later a vice squad sergeant, crunched one of the rat heads under his heel with a sickening sound that sent Carmen running away down the street, screaming. Interestingly, Clyde was expelled from Estherbrook Elementary School in the 8th grade at the age of 14 for beating up a male gym teacher, and he never did finish high school. Your turn, Blaine Smith.
All right, this poem will explain a little bit about me and a lot about how I come to writing poems about romanticism. To love me is easy, to have me is complex. Even to myself I have been many things. Through others and my own will I have shaped myself. Tough discipline is my salvation. Though others may help, I must seek my own fortune or my own pain. To love me is easy, to know me is to understand. Always tough, sometimes sensitive. At the time of my choosing, I can be either way. You want a relationship? There are things you are yet to understand. That I am a different cut of cloth than even you could imagine. By design or on purpose, I am the same to me. It's sort of like Blaine Smith. I always tell people it's an oxymoron. The most odd first name you'll ever have that's non-gender. It can be a first name or last name. It can be me as a boy or Blaine Alexander, who does the news for NBC nationally.
Yeah.
So you can see the dichotic inference there. So I've always been sort of torn. Smith is one of the most common names you could ever have.
That's right.
So you got Blaine and you have Smith. And when I came through the Gary, Indiana school system back in the day, it was just an odd name, Blaine. So it sort of helped shape me, because some people would say Blaine. My mom and dad always said Bland, and children wouldn't hear it right, and they would say, blame it on Blaine. So,
Blame it on Blaine.
Blame it on Blaine. So I heard that from probably kindergarten until I started playing sports and I got a little notoriety, and then this became the face of what Blaine Smith
You got a lot of notoriety. Okay, I'm doing a poem now. You know, I gotta cut him off every now and then.
Oh yeah, I'm a talker.
Yeah, he talks forever. This one is called Motown Streets and Mountings. Remember, this is a little raunchy. But Motown Streets and Mountings Remembered, an amatory epic. Okay, with a nod to Dylan Thomas. That's one of my all-time favorite poets. With a nod to Dylan Thomas. In my mind, I wander lairs and apple bough-decked streets of young and easy yesteryears. On 16th Street, where I came up, 2 blocks due south of Ferry Park, was where I made young Yetta yip in newfound pleasure in the dark. When we moved to Haverhill, way over on the northeast side, I laid Virgie, Joan, and Jill. Jill hoped one day to be my bride. I also boinked Juanita there in my daddy's smelly bed, plus Flora on the kitchen floor amid her cycle flowing red. My mom found lipstick on the fly of my unwashed white undershorts. She then had Dad give me the talk, which really put me out of sorts. Who was this girl, this naughty girl? My mom repeatedly would ask. I wouldn't tell her, though, because the girl was in her Sunday class. On stately White Hill Street, one day, that's Hill, not British Hall, you know. I humped cute Katie on her couch. Then after that, I had to go. On Fairmount Court, sweet Adeline, oft indeed my fair mount there, spied my borrowed car nearby in Debbie's drive, my secret lair. She got extremely miffed with me and snapped, "You'd better stay away." But another night, she called to proffer me another lay. She picked me up and drove across the bridge onto Belle Isle. We copulated once or twice, then tarried there a while. One senior chick got frightened when her period was quite late. It was, thank God, a false alarm. It would have told our fate. She'd have lost her scholarship, and I'd have lost my track grant, too. We'd have bought some diapers then, instead of going away to school. 10 years later, now a teacher, I was still a horny creature. My pad had a revolving door on a rutting road called Mound, where married Mary came to come. On Mound Road I rode her mound. My many maids there willingly got mounted and got rode, except when I was chilling or on penile overload. Those free and easy days gone by under Dylan's apple bough have lost their meaning through the years. Too frequently I feel I'm now a lonesome ghost. And you know, I've got to say one thing about that poem, because I submitted a request to the poet laureate of Flint, Samaj Brown, for a blurb in support of this book that's coming out, and I sent her the manuscript. You know what? She well here I put something in the book because total disclosure, and here's how I quoted her. Given your irreverent air of pride in poems recounting your many romantic interactions, and given your unseemly choice of transitive action verbs in poems describing some of those interactions, I'm not at all convinced that your late-in-life reformation from womanizing was fully heartfelt and sincere. End of quote. Poet laureate of Flint, Michigan, Samaj Brown, in the Crestfallen Poet's paraphrased approximation of forthright feminist Brown's frank phone call to the poet in her honest response to his request to her to write an evaluative comment for athletes, activism, and apple boughs. I put it in there. I figured I should, and people are going to have to judge whether I am remorseful or not. Your turn.
Man,
Blaine Smith's turn.
It's life lived. I never look back. Never
I look back a lot. I've made so many mistakes, Blaine, when it came to...
It's just life, Doc. It's just life. I've got a poem that I wrote in 1982. It's about a young lady, used to be a model, moved to New York, and now she does cake shows and make those decorative cakes and all of that. But this is how I remember her. So much time has passed since our flesh has meshed as lovers.
Oh, wow.
Baby, it's that time for lovers to rediscover arms, breasts, legs, and chest. Sweet kisses, oh, so sweet the kiss. as if it taste itself originated with you. From the depths of your inner lips, in lovemaking we discover the abundant treasure, the heightened pleasures, long succulent fingers, sweet delicious toes. The more I think of you, the more my manhood grows. Many desirable inches of body to play as lovemaking unfolds. The ultimate symphony, the music we both control, playing the heartstring that lovers know.
Now, man, that was a hot poem. I mean, that poem, you know, it wasn't raunchy. It was just hot. I mean, here's a raunchy one. It's a real short one.
I'm going.
You going? Oh, yeah.
When he says, now this is a real raunchy
If
one,
it
I
gets
think
any
it's...
more raunchy,
I was
it's
going to
raunchy.
sneak it in,
Oh,
too.
here's the,
I'll take that.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for your
thank you.
inspiration.
Thanks for doing what you did for me today.
An honor. Thank you
I
so
appreciate
much.
it,
I really
honey.
liked it.
Okay, well, this is the raunchy poem that Viva's not going to hear because she just departed, but the poem's called Virginia's Vagina. Yeah, Virginia's Vagina. It's a very short poem. Virginia's vagina was covered with hair, so long she could braid it and tie ribbons there. And it was indeed a truly extraordinary sight. It was Wjzz Kovac, you know, she was of Hungarian Balkan descent, with thick, lavish jet black hair on her head, and in other places. And she lived near East English Village. I could tell a whole long story about her, but I later taught her brother at Finney High School. It was kind of awkward, actually, but that was just a very, very short poem. Okay, I'm going to do another very, very short poem. This one's very, very short. It's called Princess Candy. I wrote this poem, I don't know, years later, but the poem is about an episode, time in 1956 when I was a junior at Wayne State University, and I was running track there. She wore his leather sweater and told everyone on 12th Street, where she danced, that this pretty college boy was dating her. It wasn't till much later that the heroine got her, and that was a doggone shame. I read her obituary in the Michigan Chronicle many years later. I mean, it was like in the 70s or 80s. I don't remember precisely when. Okay, here is Blaine Smith reading again one of his romantic poems.
Yeah, this is a poem that I had written in 1999 about a young lady that I thought were quite interesting. So, and all the times that you write poems, sometimes these are women that you've dated, women that you've wanted to date, or perhaps just somebody you saw. You might have gone out a few times and nothing ever happened, but this is how I felt about this particular young lady. Candy in your pockets, sweetness in your smile, an attitude on your face, the candy-coated doctor with a sugar-coated stride. What a tremendously lucky guy. I am so near to you. Candy in your pockets, me at your side, learning a little more about you as this affair hits its stride. Candy in your pockets, sweet munchies to cover your hunger pains. I want to be your candy that handles your love pangs. I promise to last longer, for to be candy in your pockets, I will be an inexhaustible supply, self-replenishing, just so I could always be candy in your eyes. I want to bring you that same joy that I wish the moon was full always. I count our impending time together. As the full moon goes, my love grows full for you.
All right. That was a hot one, too. Okay, this one's called Tsitskas. When, where, and whose? Question mark. Tsitskas. Tsitskas. Titskas, when, where, and whose. From some long ago night of remembered delight, I reconjure the dim but delectable sight of a fevered young person's large mammary glands I held heaving, immersed in my clammy 2 hands. Yet I can't any longer, nor clearly recall to whom they belong, or just when, if at all. All right, here's another real short one that I call A Bare-Naked Lady Named Claire. I once betted a bare-naked lady named Claire, whose small spouse was a 90-pound jockey. Had I been caught bare with Bear Claire over there, things undoubtedly would have got rocky. You know, I recall that jockey was from Nicaragua, and it was my custom with husbands. I made it a point never to meet him. Blaine with another more romantic poem.
Yeah, this is a young lady that was very interesting, and this is about our first meeting, and it sort of got a little Detroit flavor, we hope. So without further ado, thinking back through time of you and our meet cute, head over heels at floods in complete celebration. A good contract secured, payoff in hand. I looked at the dance floor, and I'm unexpectedly in a trance. You're walking my way. I asked a friend, do you know that beautiful woman? Yes, was the reply. It's clear now, as I first saw you on that day, you exiting the dance floor. I looked not to stare, mesmerized. I'm in a trance as you walk my way. A tall, gorgeous woman, dressed white shirt and jeans, fitting right, long and lean, penny loafers. I must be in a dream. I'm so taken and stunned, speaking to my friend that you knew. I was eager to meet you and get to know you too. I extended my hand for an introduction, and you extended yours. I am consumed by your awesomeness. Thinking back through time, I see and hear a moment that I said, I will never marry you. It was actually a juxtaposed thought of what I knew one day that I must do. You are and always have been my girl, so drawn into your orbit, I must admit that I'm in your world.
All right. All right. And now my turn. This poem's called My Late Kate. She'd always been the most enlivened when we stole away to make long love again. Her bosoms nestled like a pulsing pair of pink-nosed puppies resting in my palms. Our passion permeated all the air, and afterward she had me singing songs. Here's another poem about her, because she passed. It's called Katie's Ghost, and I wrote this one in memory of, she was an accomplished music teacher. Her name was Catherine Yeager Hutchings Herzog Pridnoff, born in 1939 and passed in 2011. Why must she in dreams yet steal, pale and beckoningly real, to hover by a moonlit bed, recalled of nights forever dead? And a piece to accompany the preceding poem is Beethoven's Piano Sonata number 14 in C sharp minor, The Moonlight. The thrice married Katie, a near virtuoso level pianist, played that piece beautifully. It's her turn, my brother.
All right. I'm going to stay in that same vein about the young lady that I had just met at Floods. This is a poem that I penned because sometimes with women, you never know where you stand. You never know where you are.
You know what? I'm going to interrupt you just for a minute.
Go for it.
Commercial. You're watching WJZZ, the John Telford Detroit Show. Blaine Smith reading poetry, John Telford reading poetry. Streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world.
All right, without further ado, I'm going to jump into this one.
Okay.
Suspended in an affair that's perplexing and otherworldly. You have my heart, a part of me, that I seldom allow to be seen. Wanting very much to be intimate, to the point of being your guy. But in reality, I stand in the zone of a friend and confidant, knowing how I want you to be that hot babe that's mine. In actuality, I wander in the land of having your trust. I know I'm a friend, but as a man, I want more. Then I think of you and whom you've become, the truly magnificent woman. Pedestal is where you stand, above the gratuitous relationship that says, I have and I can get a man. Knowing a few things about you, some of which leaves me afraid. So domineering and independent, it has driven you to where you are. My fear is that I can never reach you.
All right. And this guy is a poet, no question about it. Okay, here's one. Here's one that I call my story. And it is my story. When I wasn't near to the girls I loved dearest, I often would veer to the ones who were nearest. Yeah. Two warnings. Another short one. 2 warnings. Copulate with married ladies, and you'll go straight down to Hades. If you also kiss and tell, you'll go to a deeper hell. I like to imagine that my lifelong anti-racism and pro-human rights crusading could maybe get me a pass on this.
See, I never worry. I just write what I feel. You never know what the public will like, and sometimes when you're writing, you're not even thinking about the public. You're just thinking about how that particular person makes you feel. And in this case, this is a young lady that I actually met at the gym right before the pandemic hit. And it's sort of interesting because we caught each other's eye. We never dated. I wrote some poems about her.
That happens sometimes. Some of the ones that you never got with, you know.
Absolutely, they catch your eye.
Yeah.
And I'm a guy that if I've got a moment, or if I'm sitting at a bar just by myself, I'll start to write on a cocktail napkin. Now that we have such great phones, I put things in them, and I transcribe this, and I'm gonna just kick it off. Sitting with my free time, my mind turns to you. My thoughts as I picture your beauty, gorgeous. Somehow, you've attained the triple. Beauty, body, and brains are all found in you. Thoughts of you when you are not around are amazingly clear and quite profound. Images of you and consciousness of our brief encounters stir my soul. Hoping every day that I see you, your sensuousness and grace, hardly ever found in one woman. Hard not to imagine that what it would be like, and loved by you, with a past of Semper Fidelis. I know you are both a warrior, veteran, and attorney. That makes you awesomely classy and deadly, crazy beautiful with no equal. That's the first time I met a young lady that was a Marine, and now she's a lawyer. And we just used to pass at the gym, and whenever we would see each other, there would be huge smiles.
Semper Fi.
Semper Fidelis, Semper Fi.
Okay, here's one called The Sixth Sense. See wind-whipped water. Hear flying geese call. Scent rain-damp grass. Taste sweat salty skin. Feel in tranquil love. Sense trouble. Or, to quote my good friend and former All-American Purdue linebacker Blaine Smith, women ain't nothing but trouble. You know, some women say the same thing about us, though. You know, let's face that fact. Okay, another real short one. The devil, you say. Accusatorily, you tell me I am he. But would instead it be the devil is a she? It has indeed become quite obvious to me that she's indeed the one who you must really be. And a recommended piece to hear in your ear before, during, or after reading The Devil, you say, is Franz Liszt's Mephisto Waltz, number 3. Your turn.
Intellectual. I'm sticking with the same vein. I'm going to stay with the young lady I used to see at the gym. Outstanding beauty, heavenly silhouette, and exceptional intelligence. A look that is so disarming. When I see you in our brief encounters, you are a queen. The gym is yours. My huge smile for you is genuine. Yours in return for me is heavenly. I'm ecstatic. You are my gym woman that makes my day. I smile uncontrollably as I start to walk your way. So driven to you and so drawn to. My mind turns as only a woman will make me do. As I like you and the way you make me feel, I do want you. My wish is that somewhere, somehow, you want to know me better too. Conveying my feelings as they run rampant. Inside, I am so unsure as to know how to approach you. Tremendous that your knowledge of me and our gym, two worldly humans in an impending friendship, a possible relationship that I will cherish. I'm looking from afar, hoping we both are on an intercept of terrestrial stars.
All right, and this is one that I debated whether to recite or not. You know, I gotta close my right eye because I see close with my left eye. But this poem's called "Faces in the Rug," and I wrote it in 2011 after guzzling mucho scotch. Woven in a Persian rug, spread across my bedroom floor, are 3 faces. The first face resembles a one-eyed tiger. The second face appears demonic. The third face recalls what in earliest hours of a midwinter morning I blearily beheld to be a conjured configuration, forming a familiar photo and profile of my small and supple second spouse, being Josephine Baker in Gay Paris, fire-nailed fingers spread, tiny, tawny midriff bare, oiled onyx hair, curled close against a Moulin Rouged cheek. But when again I sought to see it, the image was gone. the pose so delicately depicted in the well-remembered photograph, yet mockingly remains. How that youthful damsel revisits my resistant mind in unrequited, uninvited stealth. Head temptingly atilt on slender neck, in haunting, smiling, Paris pantomime of ragtime song. I'm going to do one quick one about the same girl. A novena for Gina. I am your instrument. Play me. Play me, baby, play me. I'm your old bagpipe beneath a blood moon, your Hibernian chant and your dark druid rune. I'm your rare violin that's the best in the room. Play me, baby, play me. I'm your violoncello that's always in tune, your viola, accordion, trumpet, bassoon. And you are my player, my God-given boon. So play me, baby, play me. Tune me and croon me, completely bassoon me. Play me, baby, 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 baby. Play me, baby, play me. And she did, and she has many times intermittently between 1982 and 2010 with an 18-year respite in the middle.
That's why I say women are never in trouble.
Amen.
Here's a young lady that I met a long, long time ago. We're still real good friends, and it goes deeper than that. But this is a poem from 1991. Have you ever looked into your eyes? Have you had the opportunity to watch them sparkle? Have you had the pleasure to see your smile? Thank God I'm not blind, for if I were, the sparkles and the smile could be felt for miles. I'm fortunate that I see. I'm selfish enough to think that they were meant, your eyes, your smile, only for me. I know that you judge yourself on such a normal plane. Since God made you, God's made no one quite the same. I revel in thought that I can have you one day to myself. But unlike most, I do not wish to put a woman like you up on a shelf. The sparkle of your eyes were meant for all to see. The brightness of your smile, though I would like it to be only for me, it has redemption for all loves. That one thought may have been lost. Trouble, trouble, trouble.
Trouble, trouble, trouble. Time for commercial. You're watching WJZZ, Cool TV, the John Telford Detroit Show, with Blaine Smith and yours truly reading our romantic poetry. I don't know if all of mine is romantic, but it's about females and relationships. Streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world, and the John Telford Detroit Show. Okay, my turn for a poem. Here's one that I wrote some time ago called Afro-Celtic Shores. For Margaret Saxton Tatum of Brooklyn and later of New York's Harlem. Born in 1937, passed in 2005. And I met this lady, Peggy Tatum, when our Wayne State relay team ran third in the Penn Relays in Philadelphia in 1955. We won the following year, and she was there again to watch us win. And for the next 15 years, Peggy and I flew back and forth to see each other. And in recent years, I kept in touch with her daughter, Jean, and her daughter, Evelyn Tatum. And I suggest that the reader get a recording of Schubert's Opus 90 in G minor and listen to it while reading Afro-Celtic Shores, which actually is in the Poetic Prancings of Mad John. And it's also going to be in my next poetry book, Athletes, Activism, and Apple Boughs. Okay, Afro-Celtic Shores. I most remember Peggy's urgent hands, which were by fast and slow degrees at once, both feverish and cool upon my face. 10 tawny fingertips, a part of me that bide inside the marrow of my bones. Her remnants hang to haunt me even now, returned from ancient Afro-Celtic shores, ancestral seascapes salted with the seeds of our primordial mutual genesis. Don't fret, dead Peg, for some sublime day soon we'll be together in a joyful room with no white barred from black, nor racist ghouls to segregate our two eternal souls.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Sticking with the same young lady from 1991. Your hair is the aphrodisiac that brings me back to you. Long and black that falls to the middle of your back. The light touch of gray that shimmers night or day. Its silky smoothness, the sheen and the touch. My brushing your hair, I love so much. Please never cut it short without my consultation. It's a constant part of my exhilaration. When I think of you, as I long to hold you, as it contours the loneliness of you.
Do that one again. I hear that again.
Your hair, the aphrodisiac that brings me back to you. Long and black that falls to the middle of your back. The light touch of gray that shimmers night or day. In silky smoothness, the sheen and the touch. My brushing your hair, I love so much. Please never cut it short without my consultation. It's a constant part of my exhilaration. When I think of you, as I long to hold you, as it contours the loneliness of you.
It's heavy. You know, hair is an aphrodisiac.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Women's hair is so amazing. And now people cut their hair and they change styles so often that sometimes you'll look at them and you're like, do I know her? But as soon as you see the face, you know, it's a constant. But the hair, I just love hair. You know, back in the day, it was crazy seeing your sisters get their hair done, and then you got old enough to see other women doing their hair with different styles. So it's just amazing.
That's heavy. That's heavy. Okay, here's a two-line poem that I call Gravitational Grasp. I fell deeply in love with the wrong turtle dove. Here's another one. For eclectic epiphanies, thought has no color. Love can hurt. Cameras can lie. I once loved who I hoped she was. And another short one, Scorpio. Scorpio. This is entitled Scorpio. That's a what do they call them? The
Zodiac sign?
zodiac signs. She is a Scorpion, but she's a beautiful one, and that makes her doubly dangerous. She held what was hideous hidden until it would surface unbidden. Okay, I got to do this one because I just do. I'm not going to say why, but it's called The Dame Who Tastes Just Like Champagne. I've been knowing a dame who tastes just like champagne. To this guzzler of beer, she's uncharted terrain. Deep dipping and lipping, and licking and sipping. Quickening, wallowing, then swiftly swallowing. I tongue off her topping with long lollipopping. While the carnally knowing cause moaning and yowling, the cunningly lingual cause foaming and howling. Her causative factor and glad benefactor is digging that dame who tastes just like champagne. I wrote that in 2011, right after I divorced my second wife. Yeah, but I'm not naming the lady who tastes just like champagne. And before I forget, I got to do at least one political one, Blaine.
All right.
Because we're running close to the end of the time.
Got, 4 minutes.
Okay, and I can't forget to do this. Uncivil warfare. I wrote it in January, the 6th of January, a very historic day, not in a good way. On this evil and fatal occasion of the Capitol building invasion, the traitor Trump's collusion demands his execution. And I'm just going to leave it there because that's what I think we need to do to that sucker. Okay, don't be a dummy who hesitated. Hasten to get yourself vaccinated. We need immunity in our community. And right now we got, instead of herd immunity, we've got herd stupidity because so doggone many people, are a lot of the Trumpists aren't getting vaccinated, and they don't realize he doesn't care about them at all. They're all going to die, and he'll be happy because it'll hurt Biden. But anyway, let's do another poem. Blaine.
All right, this is a sort of short one. 1991 again. It's morning as the snow gently falls. I'm contemplating whether to run out of doors or head to the health club. It's still early, so my thoughts turn to you for warmth and insulation, for escapism and self-gratification. No matter how harsh a Midwest winter morning, I find my thoughts of you are warming, sunny, as if I've bypassed the cold snow, the gray of the winter's day, so my thoughts turn to you.
All right. Do I have time to do one last one?
Yeah, you got about 2.5 minutes.
Okay, this one's called Honeymoon Spoons. I wrote this on January the 10th, 2012. Two fetal folded figures, newly wed, lie body beside body, bent to bed, to form familiar elemental spoons. She inside, with him behind, and in her, crooning, murmured, tribal tunes. Say that again. What do you say?
I think we're about done. We're 10:58. A caller.
Oh, okay, caller, you're on the line. You're on the line, caller, on the John Telfer Detroit Show. What's your comment or question? Hello, caller?
Can't hear him.
Caller, we can't hear you.
Is it a button we gotta hit?
I don't know if there's a button we hit or what, but we can hear her, Roger. We can't hear the caller. Sorry, caller, we cannot hear you. Okay, I'm going to finish this poem. First their hearts beat slowly, still and stark. Long locks darker even than the dark rest in dampened strands against his chest. She pulls his hand spoon tight against her breast, and in her quickened pulse they find the feeling of one contracting universe revealing untold and vast eternities returning, with 1 trillion stars descending, burning. Their folded figures find themselves unfolding, and then again, and yet again, exploding. And of course, that was the elegant Adrian, my wonderful third wife, tragically and so recently and heartbreakingly passed forever from this life. Okay, I think we are out of time. You've been listening to the John Telfer Detroit Show with Blaine Smith and yours truly, reading our romantic poetry. And we had host Biba Sheik on for a while. So call in to Wjzz Cool TV on Thursdays from 10 to 11 in the morning, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And I'll be back again next week, this time with co-host Sunanda Corrado, and we got to have Blaine on again because Sunanda will be mad if we don't. Thank you for